But really, I think companies are at a loss on how to attract the Latino consumer. And I think that knowledge gap could be filled by hiring Latino marketers. I think the people that are in the community know the community best, but we cannot elevate our voices without access to resources and capital, right? So even though Latinos are the top entrepreneurship community in the United States, so why are we not the ones translating it? And I think that's the issue with companies is they don't have that cultural competency in-house.
Welcome to the Say Hola Well podcast, where we talk about how to make work optional, ditch burnout, and start going after your dream life. My name is Luzy King. I went from believing I have to work hard for money to now having multiple investment accounts and be on track to make work optional by 45. Inside my programs, Jefas y Wealth Mastermind and the Say Hola Wealth Academy, I help you reclaim your purpose and make work optional through entrepreneurship and stock market investing. Get ready to have your mindset decolonized and learn the simple money strategies to help you stop trading your income for your labor. Before I get started with the show, I want to remind you to follow us on social at Say Hola Wealth. You can find me on Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok. And if you are serious about making work optional, I want to invite you to subscribe to Cash Libre, our newsletter, where we send you money and mindset tips directly to your inbox on Thursday. When you are part of Cash Libre community, you get access to a special discounts on our programs and access to the Cash Libre quarterly office hours, where you can come and ask me anything. You don't even have to stay for the whole hour. You can just come in, get your question answered, and then go on with your day. With that being said, let's go ahead and start the show. Ashley, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm, we're always busy, but we are happy to be here. So thank you for having me.
I'm so happy that you are here with me today to talk about all things marketing. And as someone who has been in the marketing industry, not directly, but as someone who used to use it a lot for my previous 9-to-5 and now through Say Hola Wealth, I feel that marketing is also another hat that I need to wear. And I personally like to listen to Latinas in marketing that understand the complexities of what it is to talk to Latino audiences specifically. But before I get there, I want to know a little bit about you. Who is Ashley, your background, and how did you end up launching Mujeres in Marketing?
Yeah, well, thank you for asking. One, I feel like this is one of the more common questions I normally get. And honestly, I feel like I am just like a girl from Puerto Rico. So I was born in Yauco, Puerto Rico, which is a small town on the southwest side of the island. And it is known as the city of coffee. So no surprise there that I love coffee, but both my parents, they moved from Jauco when I was around 3 years old. And then we lived in Ohio. We lived here in Central Florida, where I'm currently based. And I just kind of stayed here in the Orlando area. So I will say I had a unique upbringing in the sense that my mom was very determined to put us in the best schools. So her mindset was like, we may not have the most money, but you are going to go to the best schools. So
yes, I love that.
Mommy always with education. And she's like a huge reason why I am who I am today. And she really always emphasized just making the most of the opportunities you have access to. So I grew up in Winter Park, Florida, which is a very affluent white community. And I will say, I think that created a lot of questions when it came to my Latinidad and my identity and how I presented to the world, where even growing up, I never wore my hair curly because I wanted to fit in with the more white girls or the more American culture. So, just things like that you grow up and normalize. And then I grew up in Winter Park. I graduated from Winter Park High School. I went to the local community college here, Valencia College. And then I got my bachelor's degree in political science, specifically international studies in 2019. And then I worked in higher education. I worked at UCF while I studied to get free classes because I was a low income student. And then I graduated last year with my master's in business admin, my MBA. So, and I've just been chilling ever since.
I love that. And as you were talking about struggling with your Latinidad, I was already like thinking, like, I wonder if she also had to straighten her hair, right? Because that's something that we do. Like in my case, I have very like straight hair, but one of the things that I had to do was I had to put my hair up and wear extra makeup to be seen as older, because I was also in a management position where people will come and ask, like, where's the boss? And I was like, I am the boss. And they're like, no, really, go ask, like, go get your boss because I want to do business with him. And I was like, no, like I am. And so when you were saying that, I was just like, oh, like, this is why I love bringing all of you guys to talk about your live experiences, because the listener and the people that watch this on YouTube, they see you and they're like, oh my God, that's me too, right? And so tell me why you decided to really like jump into marketing.
Yeah, so marketing was interesting. I fell into marketing not on accident, because I feel like growing up, I always wanted to be a journalist. I specifically always wanted to be a political journalist. That was why I studied international studies. So I wanted to be, like an international correspondent or someone who worked in anti-terrorism work. I really wanted to help like fix structural inequality. So that is why my study focus was in that. And then I graduated in 2019, and then COVID happened the next year. And I was saving money and applying to a bunch of jobs in Washington, D.C. I was determined to work for a think tank or an NGO, something along those lines. And then instead, I realized like, oh, this 2 weeks that we're working remote is going to last a lot longer. So once it was about 6 months in, I was applying for master's programs. I got accepted to a corporate communication certificate at the University of Central Florida. So that was kind of on a path to get into the communications masters. And during that time, I was like, I bought a house with the money I had saved, because my boyfriend at the time, his friend was like a mortgage loan originator, and he had talked about how you don't need that much money to buy a house. And I was like, well, I have like 10K. Maybe this isn't that much money, right? Like maybe that's the money you need. And then it ended up working out where I was able to buy my first home. And then I was house poor. So I couldn't pay my bills on my higher education salary. I was making $37,000 a year trying to pay a $1,200 mortgage by myself. And then I was like, wow, like I need to get a second job. And that's when I was like, oh, I've always wanted to be a writer. I'm studying communications. Like, let me see if I can get an internship or a part-time side hustle. And that's when I ended up cold applying to like internship with Lucy Media. So Lucy Media is like a Latina focused media outlet.
I know who they are.
I love Lucy Media, but they were announcing new team members, and I still have the screenshot of when I commented on the post, and I was like, but are you hiring interns? And then the founder, Lucy Flora, she responded to my comment and was like, yes, apply here. And then I ended up getting a part-time role. And that's when I started writing articles for Lucy Media, managing social media accounts in 2020 for progressive political orgs. And that's when I was like, oh, this is like a career. Like I could do this, and this is marketing. And that's kind of how I fell into it.
And I love that, because that's how I found you, right?
Yes.
So is your organization Mujeres for Marketing? Like, is it a non-for-profit? Is it a for-profit? Like, what is the overall goal that you have through this entity?
Yeah, Mujeres in Marketing is a 501c3 nonprofit. The reason we are a nonprofit is that I have that not-for-profit background working in higher education, and I wanted to create an organization that didn't have barriers to access, because as a low-income student, people always said to go network. I couldn't do that because I was working. Like I worked multiple jobs throughout my undergrad to pay my tuition, to pay my books. Like going from a community college to a 4-year, I had to become an online student so I could keep working, because I couldn't maintain a job and go to class at 11 a.m. Like that wasn't realistic for me. So I was really intentional about creating something that, again, doesn't have barriers to access, because they would say go network, and like even if I did have the time, I didn't have $7 to spend on a coffee, right? Like it doesn't seem like a lot now, because I'm sure like people always treat yourself $7 latte,
but then you lose the wages too for having to ask for time off or things like that. So it's not just the $7.
Correct. And that's like my mentality was like, I want to create something that's accessible, something that doesn't discriminate whether you're a student or a professional, because I was a full-time working student. So I was a student and I was a professional because I had a full-time job, and it was like an administrative job on campus. I really created it reflective of the challenges I faced. So because I know that the ones that I faced are not unique, right? Especially to other Latinas. So accessibility is really at the forefront, and just providing professional development, knowledge training, and doing it virtual and in person. So we get a little bit of both worlds.
And I love that. I think I saw a post that you made on LinkedIn of an in-person event where you had your booth, tu mentel, tu like background. And I was like, I just love this, right? Because we really are becoming the mentors that we couldn't see growing up. And so like that to me, it was just like, wow, I have to bring her to the podcast. Now, I want to shift the conversation a little bit about Latinos and the economic power. And what are some of the things that, in your opinion, brands are not doing to attract Latinos, right? Because we have such a big purchasing power. And I have seen on the shift of some brands really tailoring their marketing, especially like with influencer marketing, like towards Latinos, because they know about our purchasing power. But I also see the other side of companies that are weaponizing Latinos for political gain.
Yeah, I just got chills at this because I have so many thoughts. But really, I think companies are at a loss on how to attract the Latino consumer. And I think that knowledge gap could be filled by hiring Latino marketers. I think the people that are in the community know the community best, but we cannot elevate our voices without access to resources and capital, right? So even though Latinos are the top entrepreneurship community in the United States, one thing I see a lot is like businesses form and they're very focused on helping like non-Latinos reach the Latino consumer. But what about helping these Latino entrepreneurs reach the general market? You know, because we are trusted, like I say, like Latinos make everything cool. Like we kind of decide what's cool and then we show it to the world. So it's like in being tastemakers, we have to be the culturally competent people with these positions at these companies that are being trusted to like harness that vision and bring it to general market, because everything we pick gets cool anyway. So why are we not the ones translating it? And I think that's the issue with companies is like they don't have that cultural competency in-house because that's not where their hiring focus is. Their focus is return on investment, dollar amounts. But in order for you to have that, you need to be authentic in your approach. And who's more authentic than the people in the community?
Yeah, absolutely. And I have seen some amazing marketing campaigns that are targeting like US Latinos. And I love the bilingualism that is being used. Being a Latino is also a liability, and some companies, again, are using that to send the message of like, it's not okay to be Latino. And to me, like that just really bothers me because as a someone who has the economic power, right? As a buyer, I buy a lot of products that are, the majority of my products now are made by Latinos, but I still consume other products that are not made by Latinos. And so I do take offense. And that's also why I decided to become an angel investor of Latino brands, so I can also use the economic power. But of course, not everyone is at that phase of their financial journey yet. You know, they will. I have a couple clients that already are angel investors as well. So tell me, like, I'm gonna give you like a magic wand right now, okay? If you were to create like the perfect strategy to hire Latinos in marketing to help, you can think of your favorite brand right now. What are the steps that you will do to like the hiring process? And also like how would you even create like a multi-generational, multicultural campaign, let's say for glasses, since you're wearing glasses right now?
I love glasses. I worked in optical for many years. So for me, they're like part of the outfit. But I would really say like I own my own social media agency. It's called Primer Dia Creative, and it translates beautifully to like the projects we have and the clients we have, right? So I always look at like what kind of client is this and what is their vision, mission, and goal. And then I assemble my team based on like who has the cultural competency to translate this responsibly? You know, like who is a member of this community or who has worked in this space before? that they can teach me also, because as an agency owner, you're not going to be a subject matter expert with every client you work, right? That's why they outsource to agencies. So for me, it's also like once you can identify kind of the mission, the vision, and the audience, that's where you can really say like, who is the most helpful person to help bring that to life? Because I also think there's a lot of underestimation when it comes to Gen Z. And I think that is a result of a lot of millennials and Gen Xers and our own trauma of being told that like we just have to put our heads down and go to work and, you know, suffer the consequences of our employers. And I really believe like the next generation is going to be one of the most outspoken generations that can produce some of the highest quality work we've ever seen. They just have different relationships with employers, right? So we need to adjust as leaders to like, I love that this like person can accurately translate this. So what are the tools they need from me to be put in a position to succeed? Because I do practice servant leadership by nature. So I do believe in like, what does my team need from me to do their job better? And I think it's kind of a reverse psychology of what we've been taught, which is like, just wait for directions from your boss and do what they say. Yeah. And I've never worked that way where like I needed clear direction. And if I have been in that position, it probably wasn't a great job for me, you know? And that's kind of where I think, my team building comes from. And like, if I were to sell glasses, like one, who wears glasses here? And who likes glasses and who can really talk about them in a way that's passionate and sell them to like a person who does not need glasses, but wants them. So it's really just a basic level of like qualifications matter, but I think they're the first step. It's more the passion, the drive, and the willingness to do the work and be coachable in that process.
I love that. Now, as an agency owner, I'm assuming, is this your first venture or in addition to Mujeres in Marketing?
It is. It's been something I've had for multiple years, but I haven't actually like worked it until the past few months. And I already have 3 clients. So it's been really great.
Which I love that. As a Latina, and today, this morning is a good example of that. I just saw something on social media that I was like, oh man, it is happening. Keeps happening. Charging for a service that you offer can come with a lot of baggage and self-doubt. Even the most experienced Latina, the one that has the most credentials, can feel like charging for the knowledge and the expertise might be too much. Did you ever struggle with that? Like, how much should I charge? Especially with you having new clients, right? Like, hey, maybe you'll give them a discount. Like, did you have to go to any of that earning potential? Like, I really shouldn't start at X and like devaluing your work? I'm putting you on the spot.
No, I love that question. And because I love talking about money. And not like I did, because I think when you're starting out, like una no sabe en calidad, like you don't know what this is worth on the free market. Like you can use other points, but I'm also running a boutique agency that offers services in English and Spanish and to clients in the US and in Puerto Rico.
Me encanta.
So it's not that it doesn't exist, because it exists, but who is going to answer that question for me, right? So I think it's really like multiple friends of mine are small business owners. They own their own marketing agencies. They partner with me on those like client engagements. So that gives me an idea, like how much do you charge? How much should I charge? You know, and that helps us kind of work out the financial side. And then as well, a friend of mine, Andrea Ortega, she has her PhD and she's a nonprofit consultant. She was the first person to be like, you are charging too low. You need to charge at least $65 an hour for your services. And then a year from now, you need to charge double that. Like she was very direct. And she was like, I got this advice from someone else, so I'm giving it to you. And she was very like to the point. And I love that about a lot of my friends. My friend Laura is the same way. She runs her own media agency and she's very like, this makes sense. This is what your hourly should be. And then it's also like understanding that as a business owner, like you're not going to start making money immediately. It takes months of a ramp up planning. You have to invest back in your business. You have to build a website. You have to go to events and network and present as that. So there is a cost. There's an invisible cost that isn't even just infrastructure. It's your time, right? Where you're not making money and hoping you get client engagement. And then on top of that, like I do believe in paying my team well. So I have a project manager. She has her MBA, but she's working with me on a client engagement because she's Puerto Rican and she understands the culture. I pay her $60 an hour for that
I love
engagement,
that. Yeah, I love
because I'm not going to pay 10, 15, 20 when I know that her skill set may match mine. And in that engagement, I'm paying myself 65 because at the end of the day, you're in a building phase in your business. So a year from now, building trust with your clients and getting additional ones, you can both make more, but you have to view it as a partnership. So I do take especially with smaller businesses, I charge less because they're smaller. I'm not going to charge a small business the same as what I charge like a super established business, but there is a threshold that I won't go below, which is $1,000 a month. Because at minimum, I may not make money, but I want the experience of the campaign, or I may want to just build my portfolio. And then I'm doing all of this while I'm still working like a job, because I have met so many entrepreneurs that have completely taught me new things, where a lot of the times in your building phase, like a lot of these people are still working jobs or they have support, and we don't see that. We only see what people present, and then everyone's shocked. And it's like, yeah, well, my business is in its first year. Why would I give up benefits and be broke when it's not where it needs to be yet? In 1 to 2 years, we'll talk.
Yeah. I always say do the leap into entrepreneurship at your own pace, because as a business, I also got the advice of, well, for me, I left corporate, so it was like I have to make it work, right? But I do see the advice of a lot of people saying like, oh, just quit your job. And it's like, no, don't quit your job. Like, actually have financial safety first, and then try to find the clients, try to have consistent revenue. And when you feel like you have enough on your personal bank account and then your business savings, that's when you start saying, okay, this is real, right? And it's happening. But I don't advise people to just quit corporate and also hate corporate, right? Because there's so many skills that we learn in corporate that translate very well when you're working as a creator, as a coach, as a speaker. Like, those organization skills and project management skills don't go away. They become like a super tool for you to use to grow your business. So I'm learning so much about you right now. And I want to ask you, like, what is one big, bold change that you see in marketing right now?
Oh my goodness. The biggest change is LinkedIn. Like, LinkedIn is coming for us all. And I think people don't understand the power of harnessing a great LinkedIn. I think a lot of people avoid LinkedIn. They think it's cringe, or like they don't see the value. Yeah. And it's very I think if people responsibly harness LinkedIn for what it is, which is a social networking platform, but you show up as yourself, right? Like, some of the greatest people I've met in the past year, they post consistently on LinkedIn, but they post things that I expect them to post because I know them, right? They're not pretending to be someone online that they're not. And they're finding a lot of success being authentic and fostering thought leadership from that place of authenticity, to where it gets them jobs, it gets them clients. And I think that's the biggest shift we're seeing is the modern CEO will be much more accessible behind a social media profile than they will be behind a fancy office, right? I think that's going to be the biggest shift is now we're going back to people-centered businesses, where before it was faceless corporations. Now, no, you're going to see modern CEOs posting on LinkedIn, hiring staff to maintain that. I have done executive communications on social media. So I do think that's the biggest shift we'll see in marketing, is just all these big fancy people. You're going to see them posting a lot more on social, whether it's their team or not, but it will be their voice. And I think that will be a new thing for all of us to
And I love that. And that's how you and I connected. And one of the features that I love to use on LinkedIn is the voice memo, because I'm always moving, and if I have to type something, I take longer. So I like to just tell people like, hey, thank you so much for following, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of people say like, oh, I didn't even know that you can send these memo voices. And I'm like, yeah, I use them all the time. And so I've had several opportunities come through LinkedIn. And I want to now bring it back to the conversation about, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years in terms of your financial goals? Because you're busy. You're a busy mujer. You're the perfect fit of what I call a perfect, busy mujer. You have your agency, you have your non-for-profit, you have a 9 to 5. you have a house, you have all of these things. So where do you see yourself financially in the next 5 years?
Financially, the thing is there's a lot of people my age, and even just a friend of mine recently said his goal is to do FIRE, like the financial independence, retire early. I personally do not ever see myself retiring. So 5 years from now, I would like to be fully self-employed. That's definitely where I see myself, because I think the flexibility is something I'll need with so many of the things I have going on. And then I definitely see Mujeres in Marketing thriving, because I do see there's a huge gap in that market. Yes. So at least being like getting a part-time salary from that, and then benefiting from my own agency at that point, enough to like really sustain myself. And financially, I don't know, I got a really good head start on finances because I was very, very frugal when I was low income as a student. And I knew like I avoided student loan debt. I don't have car debt. Like I have credit card debt because I was unemployed for part of last year. But I do see myself continuing like a largely debt-free lifestyle, over investing in my Roths and then making more of the compound interest work for me. But I definitely do not see myself as a FIRE person. Like I like to work. I like what I do. I don't think I think I would like to be self-employed to allow myself that flexibility of still having financial security while working on things that I truly love. So my 5-year financial plan is like a little bit more stability, but I think I can blame the economy for that right now more so than just me. And, just really continuing the work that I'm doing just in an elevated capacity when like we have a little more funding and reach and community investment. And I think it's all going to be beautiful and work out.
So. And I love that. And one of the things that I will say is apply for funding. Apply. There is so much money. That was one of the many mistakes I made through my business when I started. I was like bootstrapping. I can do it. I shouldn't be applying for money. Maybe there's other people that need it. And this year, 2025, was the first year that I started to apply for anything, right? Anything that I qualified. And it has really changed my business model in terms of having the cash flow to pay people more money or hire more team members, and really like plan on scaling, because I do want to retire at 45, but I won't fully retire. I will say that because I also like to work and learn. But I do want to have the ability to just say, you know what, I'm not going to work for 3 months. I can go travel places, but I still help mujeres, break into the stock market. So Ashley, how can we here at Say Hola Wealth support the work that you do either through Mujeres in Marketing or your own agency? So this is where you tell us, come work for me and everything in between.
I love it. Thank you so much. So Mujeres in Marketing, you can find us on all social media platforms under Mujeres in Marketing. Our website is mujeresinmarketing.org. Please sign up for our newsletter. We send them out every week. It has great summaries of stuff we've done, our events coming up. We put job opportunities in there that our team curates specifically. So definitely subscribe to our newsletter. Also sign up for our Mighty Networks. It's called Preparadas, where we are building out an e-learning community and platform. And we also host some really cool master classes from members of our board and just other professionals in the space, where they do some knowledge sharing, workshops, all kinds of cool stuff. So definitely sign up for that. And then if you'd like to support my agency or are interested in working with me in a social media, communications, or PR capacity, you can visit my website at primediacreative.com. And then I just use my LinkedIn, honestly, for people to reach out. So reach out to me. I'm on LinkedIn at Ashley Rivera Mercado, MBA, because I do have my MBA. And yeah, that's where everyone can reach me and support. And again, like if you're interested in just having a space where Mujeres in Marketing is very welcoming, even to non-traditional marketers or women not in that industry. So you're always welcome to be a part of our community if you just want to meet other women and talk about cool stuff.
I like to talk about cool stuff.
Then you should come.
And everyone is truly, I want to say like almost every Latina is a marketer, whether we like it or not. Like
we're natural marketers. Natural marketers, salespeople. It comes with being a tastemaker. And then on top of that, we're just like fun. I think networking and professionalism has gotten super lost. And siempre tenemos como el sazón and we bring the life. So I really, our team works really hard to make sure Mujeres in Marketing is fun and community oriented while we're leveling up and getting paid.
Yes, and I love it. Well, Ashley, thank you so much for coming to the show, and let's go ahead and build wealth and impact juntas.
Thank you.
On the Say Hola Well podcast and its associated entities, all content provided is for general informational purposes only. This information is not intended as legal, accounting, tax, or other professional advice. Listeners are encouraged to seek guidance from qualified professionals such as accountants, financial planners, or attorneys before making decisions based on the content shared. We assume no responsibility for errors, omissions, or misinterpretation in the podcast of its associated materials. Additionally, we disclaim all liabilities from any defamatory, offensive, or inappropriate content shared by guests or contributors. By accessing this podcast and its related content, you acknowledge the terms of this disclaimer.